Have you ever struggled to choose between Stack and Cabal for your Haskell projects? I haven't, because all the years ago I started with Stack and never dared to switch to Cabal. Technically, I did use it in the enterprise settings, but let's say it's irrelevant. Stack has been my personal go-to build tool, and basically for three reasons. Because Stack takes care of managing GHC versions, managing dependency versions, and managing modules. And from what I've heard over the last couple of years, those three do not justify not using Cabal anymore, so I wanted to give it a try. And note that at the moment I don't worry about any optimizations, this usage and so on. I just want to make my life simpler and try out a few things. One nice thing about Stack is that it by default manages GHC versions, but also GHC app does that. And I already use GHC app to manage Stack itself, the Haskell language server, and even the compatible GHC versions. And recently I've been hooking up Stack to make it use GHC app install GHC version, so it feels simpler to just use GHC app for this, and takes the Stack out of the equation. And yeah, it's also nice that out of the box, Stack uses the correct GHC version when switching between projects, something that Cabal and GHC app don't do. And it's fine. Well, at least in my case it's fine, because I rarely actually use more than one or two GHC versions and don't have to worry about it that often. And regarding reproducible builds, you can still use the with compiler option in the Cabal project file to pin down the GHC version. And note that you can also pin the base version instead. Another thing that Stack manages is dependency versions. Instead of relying on dependency resolution or picking versions by hand, you can use stackage snapshots. These days, you can also use the stackage snapshots with Cabal by using import in Cabal project. The Cabal project file comes in place of the stack YAML file, both used for project configuration and options. You can stop there, but you can also try a different workflow. Ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want reproducible builds? Do you want to make sure that library works together? Do you want something else? For example, with Cabal, you can use Cabal freeze to pin down the dependencies, which ensures reproducible or more reproducible builds. Cabal freeze results in a Cabal project freeze file that we need to commit or share. I've used freeze and lock-like workflows in a couple of previous jobs, and most of the time it's pretty convenient, except for the days when I was the lucky one and had to deal with occasional problematic dependency bumps. If you don't care about reproducibility, you don't have to freeze anything. In either case, modern Cabal is capable of constructing proper build plans, and if you worry about getting the right dependency version, remember that stackage still exists and assists you even if you don't use it directly. Think about it, maintainers still want to make it into the snapshots and make sure that their packages work with others. As a side note, the in-between step or in-between solution can be directly freezing a stackage snapshot. Okay, the actual reason I've been avoiding Cabal is this. I hate enumerating the modules in Cabal files by hand. I didn't mind using an extra tool just for that. Then the other day I had an epiphany that actually HPEC is the one that takes care of that boilerplate and not Stack. So I can cut out the middleman, the one middleman, but keep the other one. Running HPEC generates the .cabal file based on the package YAML file. You can run it manually, but it's easy to forget, which makes it a good candidate for automation. There are other alternatives for dealing with this and other boilerplates, but it's good enough for me. If you're less lazy and want to cut out HPEC as well, you can generate the Cabal file, patch up the version bounds if needed, and then delete the HPEC file completely. To reiterate, if you want to switch from Stack to Cabal, you can start by generating the .cabal or project Cabal file from the HPEC's package YAML, and then either keep it or delete it, and swap in Stack YAML for the Cabal project for your configurations. And depending on your workflow, you might need to remove the .cabal file from gitignore and adjust a few things. So will I choose Stack or Cabal for my next Haskell project? I don't know. Let me tell you about Nix.